app and your local SuperTalk Mississippi radio station. And don't forget, you can watch us. So we are on your computer, your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. And you know we like movies around here on Good Things, and we've got a free screening for you. The Mississippi Department of Child Protective Services is sponsoring a free movie screening of The Sound of Hope, the story of Possum Trot. And I made sure that it's Possum Trot. I got it right. And joining us is Miss Andrea Sanders. She is the commissioner for MDCPS. So welcome, Andrea.
Thank you, Rebecca. It's a pleasure to be here.
And I'm excited to hear the story. I think any time that you can hear a story of hope around fostering or just bringing positive light to it is a good thing because, gosh, I have personal friends who have stepped out in faith and become foster parents, and they have shared nothing but how that is such a blessing to them. And I think, you know, encouraging folks to walk that road or at least learn more about it is always a good thing. So let's talk about the movie. How did all of this come about?
You know, I actually had the privilege of previewing this movie at a conference. It's been probably 3 or 4 months ago, and several of my team were with me, and we were so inspired by it because the story is really relevant to Mississippi. That we knew right then that we wanted to make sure that we could provide access to the movie to as many people as possible here in Mississippi.
If you're having trouble, use that. Turn up your volume right here with that. There you go. Can you hear me now? No? Okay, we can just take them off. Headphones. You know, look, technology's great until it's not, and so we're just going to roll with it. I want you to be able to hear me.
Cool.
But don't worry, the folks at home can hear you just fine and dandy here on Good Things. Okay, so the story, Sound of Hope, the story of Possum Trot, it just sounds like a good warm movie, like a good cuddly story that you would just have like a really good ending to it. So sort of share a little bit of the background of the story. Like, is it connected to Mississippi? Is it connected with a foster family here? Or is it just generalizing in terms of what you can?
No, it's actually a true story that occurred in a rural area of East Texas. Mm-hmm. So, you know, kind of the South. We certainly have a lot of rural communities like Possum Trot. And they had the same problem that we struggle with across the country, which is, you know, we take children into custody to protect them when necessary in their own homes. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it's really hard for a state agency to really meet that child's needs without the ability to have families to put them in. So in Possum Trot, they learned that there were 77 older teens who just really had not been adopted and were really, you know, the agency was struggling with finding places for them. And this little community and one particular church became aware of the problem and said, we're going to take this on. And they committed, and 77 kids were they were put into permanent homes, and it really changed the lives of these children. So it just was a good reminder to me that when we pull together as communities, mm-hmm. we really can make a lasting impact in kids' lives.
And I think, too, when you think about in terms of fostering children, you can hear numbers like 4,000 children in the foster care system here in Mississippi, or those feel very daunting, right? But when you bring it down to a community or a church can help 5, can help 10, can help, and whoever you feel led to do. Not everyone feel led or called to be a foster parent, but everybody can play a part in helping children find the families that they need. And sometimes the call is to be a foster parent. I found, Andrea, that at least in my friend circle, they always had the little nudge in their bellies, yes. And there was just a lot of fears and myths and maybe unanswered questions around that they may had. And when they got all those answered and they walked it out, they were like, man, we should have done this, years ago or whatever it may be. So I'm sure this is not the only positive story or the good outcome in terms of with foster care.
No, and we certainly have those in Mississippi every day. Mississippi is a very loving, family-oriented state, mm-hmm. and so I find that it always, honestly, really surprises me how many people have that little nudge in their belly and come out of the woodwork. I will say that fostering's hard. Mm-hmm. It's, you're taking a child into your home to love them like your own, knowing that it could be temporary, most likely will be temporary, right. Because we really strive to keep families intact, mm-hmm. If at all possible. But, I'm glad to hear that your friends have had rewarding mm-hmm. experiences. It takes a lot of support. It's different than just having your own kid. which is hard enough.
Right.
I've raised two, and so you're absolutely right. Not everybody's called to foster. Not everybody's called to foster at particular times in their lives. There are times when we don't have the bandwidth, but everybody can do something. And churches in particular are really well suited. They already know how to come together and shower young people when they're having a baby. They cook for each other when people are going through difficult times. And those are the kinds of things that really make foster families successful, is having respite and support from their communities. So literally...
It also makes it less scary for the foster parent. When they know they're going to have that support and that everyone's open and talking about it, then they have more courage, I would say, to step out and follow what they feel like they're being called to do.
I think that's exactly right, yes.
Mm-hmm. And maybe we're called to come see this movie. And I know there are several screenings throughout Mississippi, one coming up this weekend. Was it very intentional, Andrea, to make these free?
Yes, absolutely. We wanted to really emphasize, even to families that may not have a lot of extra income, that every family in Mississippi can make a difference in the lives of children in the right circumstances with the right support. So, I have to say today I'm really proud to say that every single one of these showings is booked fully.
What? That's awesome.
I know, right? But I still encourage people to see the movie. And if you can't go see it in the movie theater, it'll be out on, Netflix and streaming and
all the things.
So, we plan to show it repeatedly this fall at some of our conferences. But it's just it's a good family story. And it's also a really good place to find inspiration when you're feeling like maybe you can't make a difference by yourself.
That's impressive. Tupelo, Madison, Meridian, Hattiesburg, Gulfport, all sold out. That means
right.
folks, and I think it takes conversations like this, seeing that there can be, yes, it's tough, but not every circumstance is always like in that way. And then there can be such good outcomes, and you don't always know the ripple effect when you just even spend 6 to 8 weeks or a couple months as a kid is sort of, being placed somewhere safe so that other people in their family can do whatever it is that they need to do, or sort of the next steps, and what kind of positive effect you can have on that. And I think that's really cool. Andrea, I'm sure recruiting for foster families is hard. Are there easy places to go just to get your questions answered, or phone numbers to call and sort of that way, or in y'all's guys' office? Or
yes, yeah. Our website has a lot of good information on it, www.mdcps.ms.gov. And there's a whole tab on it for foster parents and adoptive parents. Additionally, we have recruiting information we'll leave with you, but it's usually it takes families a good 6 months to a year to really make the decision, and that's wise. You need to consider what you're getting into, and you need to have your questions answered on the front end. So we're working internally to be better at really getting those questions answered up front, and also developing support from our agency and through resources in the community to really help people feel confident that they can do this and to be successful at it.
I know that respecting the children's identities and all of that is a big piece of it, but at the same time, sharing, if foster parents would feel more courage, I guess, too, to share their stories of like, what's it like being that, I think it would also break down some of those scary barriers for others, like, okay, the Smiths down the street are, doing it, and this is what it looks like. And, and I totally understand respecting the privacy of the children that are placed, and that they shouldn't be necessarily, just touted around, but just who these foster families sort of are. And you would be surprised. You may say to yourself, I don't know anybody who's fostering, and I would say you do. Like you do, they just blend in. And so if done well, and they're in your neighborhoods.
You're absolutely right. I had when I took this position 4 years ago, I had friends from all walks of life who reached out to me and said, either I am fostering and I'm struggling, or I want to foster. I have fostered before, and I know this family that has a need. And so it was really eye-opening to me to see just literally, people many stages in life who felt called and answered the call and said, I'm going to help these kids.
And if you have more questions or at least interested, at least watch the movie Sound of Hope, the story of Possum Trot. Go to the MDCPS website, call the number, just ask questions. We appreciate your time, Andrea.
Thank you, Rebecca.
All right, you guys stick with us. We got more for you coming up next.